Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I am Molly Smiles, and today I kind of wanted to do something different. I want to talk about a movie that I just watched. I thought this would be the perfect place for me to do so, to express my thoughts and my feelings about it, because I don't have a lot of people that I can talk to freely about this. So I wanted to do this here and just try it out and see if you guys like it. The movie I wanted to talk about is kind of an old one, so you may have heard of it, you may not have heard of it at all because it's so old and it just never came across your radar. But I just watched it for the first time, so that's why it's fresh on my mind. And that is the 2008 French film Martyrs, directed and written by Pascal Léger. I'm gonna read you the description because I don't want to mess it up, so I'm sorry if that bothers you. This is how it goes. A young woman's quest for revenge against the people who kidnapped and tormented her as a child leads her and a friend who is also a victim of child abuse on a terrifying journey into a living hell of depravity. Okay, so it has a runtime of 1 hour and 39 minutes. It has a 7.1 star rating on IMDb and a 63% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, which is pretty good. So after I watched this movie, I went through and I read a few reviews just to kind of get a feel of what people were thinking about it, what they were saying if they loved it, what they were saying if they hated it, and I found that there's no middle ground. You either love this movie and think it's a masterpiece, you're crazy if you don't see it that way, or you hate it and think it was just trash. So I don't necessarily think it's trash, but I definitely don't love it either. And I'm gonna talk to you about it. I'm gonna be honest, it gave me a headache. The movie starts with telling you, or showing you, immediately starts with showing you the backstory of this character, Lucy, who they mention in the description. And then it shows you how she meets her friend Anna, who you also hear about in the description. And then after it shows you, like, after they set that up for you, then it kind of just throws you right into the story. The violence, the gore is almost immediate. So if you cannot handle something like that, this is definitely not the film for you. Because they throw you right in head first into the deep end of the violence and the gore and the disturbing factor, okay? But then at some point, pretty quickly on, after getting thrown into the violence, this story kind of shifts in a way that I wasn't expecting. I feel like whenever I go into a movie and read a description, I have a setup in my head of how I think this movie is going to go, who I think this movie is about, what the story is about, all of it. I have a setup that I don't even mean to have, but I just do. And this movie kind of shifted in a direction that I didn't expect, which is a good thing, but I personally got a little frustrated with it, I guess, because I just was expecting something totally different. And this isn't the only movie who has done this. There's another movie that I've seen recently that was made last year that did the same thing and shocked all of its viewers because everybody was taken off guard by it. And it was actually a really good movie. Of course, there are some people who hated that movie too, and maybe I'll talk to you about that one too someday. But today I'm talking about this one, and I just personally didn't like the way that they did it. And so once it hits that point of the shift, it gets kind of like overbearing when it comes to the violence, to the point that you're like dull to it. And I realized that your characters that you're watching become numb at the same time that I was becoming dull to it. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I don't know if anybody else had that kind of experience. I feel like most people who were watching this in 2008 were just feeling incredibly disturbed and could not even become dull to it. So I feel like I sound a little crazy right now, but it's 2020 and there's a lot of realistic graphic movies out there that this is just kind of like a cakewalk almost. But I say that in the sense that it doesn't like become dull like I'm used to it. It becomes dull in the sense that it's repetitive, and I was finding myself feeling very annoyed and saying, get to the point already, you know. And I'm pretty sure most people were. I saw that a lot of people fast forwarded because it was taking forever and they were disturbed. And a lot of people couldn't handle sitting through that much. It was supposed to make you uncomfortable. This movie was supposed to make you feel a certain type of way, and it was supposed to disturb you. So if it did that, then it did its job and it worked, and that's why a lot of people liked the movie. But it didn't do that for me. It just kind of annoyed me. So this leads me to the ending, which was the most frustrating part for me. You see, whenever I have a character that I am following that is going through hard things, I usually can stick it out with them. That's what sets me apart, I guess, from people who like fast forward it and stuff. I want to experience this. I want to see it because I feel like there has to be a purpose, and it's going to be satisfying when you get there. The ending did not give me a good enough satisfaction. And by good enough, I mean I had no satisfaction at the end of this movie. Like, there was nothing. I felt like I witnessed and went through all this with this character for absolutely nothing. And I felt really, really bad for the people who were sensitive to the violence to come to this conclusion. You know, like, y'all literally wasted your humanity watching this for nothing. I felt like I wasted my time. And I want to tell you, because you're probably thinking, if you don't watch horror movies, and this is like the first like taste of it you're getting, you're probably thinking, why the heck did you watch this movie? Like, girl, what are you doing? Let me explain, okay? I have a lot of time on my hands, and I was watching YouTube one day, and I came across this YouTuber, Possessed by Horror. She does a lot of reviews and talks about her thoughts and reacts to movies that are shocking. And she had a video that was titled, I don't know the title exactly, but it was like 10 movies that disturbed me and I wouldn't watch again. And in this grouping of movies was the movie Martyrs. And she described it as disturbing. I'm not going to watch it again, but it's amazing, and I think everybody should watch it at least once if they can handle it. That was her words for this movie. So I'm sitting here thinking, dang, it must have a really good story, because that's really strange to put amazing and disturbing and would never watch again in the same sentence. Because typically I don't really feel that way about movies that I left feeling like, oh, that was amazing, you know what I mean? So it intrigued me and made me want to watch it. And maybe that set my standards a little high and my expectations a little high, because I was incredibly underwhelmed with this movie. I just gotta be honest. And I don't know, like I said, I just felt like I wasted my time. And I feel crazy because there are not entirely, there are people who hated this movie, but there are so many horror lovers that actually loved this movie and think it's a masterpiece and has a wonderful story. And I'm sitting here like, did I miss something? Like, am I not getting the point? I guess I'm not getting the point. I think it's important to note also, I should have said this a little bit earlier, that the director wrote this at a time in his life when he was going through a really deep depression. So the point might have been for you to feel completely not satisfied. I'm not sure. I'd have to look into that a little more. But I just thought it was noteworthy to add that in there. But yeah, so that's why I watched it, and I have to admit I was incredibly disappointed, and I even spent money on this movie. I convinced my husband to let me buy this movie because I was so convinced it was going to be good, and I didn't get those same vibes. Now, that's not saying that the people who love this movie and think it's a masterpiece are necessarily wrong in their opinions, or that I'm wrong in my opinion. It just means that this movie resonated with them in a different way than it did with me. Like, this was not meant for me, and it resonated with these other people who love it, and that's wonderful. That's what movies are supposed to do. You're supposed to either love or hate them, or not care about. I mean, I guess it's not good if you just don't care in general, but a movie is going to speak to different people in different ways. So you're always going to have people who hate something, really don't care for it, or people who love it and think it's great. So I'm not saying anybody's wrong in their opinions. I just was so expecting something else. And that is my thoughts on Martyrs. If you have seen this movie and you have different thoughts or even the same thoughts, I would love to hear them down in the comments, because I want us to kind of start a conversation about it and kind of get more viewpoints on it and maybe a better understanding of the story in general and how it sat with you and when you watched it, you know what I mean? And if you decide to watch it, I don't know why you would with this review, but if you decide to watch it, please let me know once you do what you thought of it. But yeah, I thought it would be fun to talk to you guys about movies that I liked or didn't like, because like I said, I don't have a lot of people that I can talk to about this kind of stuff. So I thought this would be a great place for me to express my thoughts, my feelings, and get to hear everybody's thoughts and opinions as well. Even if they're not so nice towards me, I expect that. But I hope you let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed this, even though I am kind of just ranting. And I hope you have a wonderful week. I'm saying "and" way too much. That is my cue to let you guys go, and see you next time.